Hi, I'm Laura Decker, president of microBIOMETER. I want to thank everyone for taking the time to listen to me talk today. I won't take too much of your time. And I want to thank Matt Powers for, of course, inviting me to be a part of our future soil event this year. Our company has relied a lot on Matt for information and for support and feedback on our product, the microBIOMETER, which is an in-field test for soil biology. So it's always really, really exciting to be included in these events and to be able to work with the people who work with Matt to give us some feedback on what we can do. I'll give you a little intro about my company, and then I was just going to talk a little bit about data and analytics as it relates to soil health. I think everyone that's listening to me is probably really, really well versed in soil biology, read Matt's books, perhaps even took the big dive to do microscopy. So I'm not going to overstate how much I know about it, but I love being able to share the work that we do with people who are also in the regenerative soil world, because we are all on the same team, paddling a canoe in the same direction in terms of working to improve soil health, to both improve the health of our planet and the health of our bodies. And I also like to throw in a little bit that when we talk about healthy soil, healthy crops, healthy growing, we also talk a little bit about financial health. And I don't mean in the way that a hedge fund person would about getting rich, but for most of human history, people got their own food, and certainly when farming came up, it was a way for people to feed themselves, house themselves, and provide for their needs. And around the world, lots and lots of farmers are subsistence farmers or smallhold farmers, and combating world poverty can really start with agriculture. So when we talk about making healthier soil, healthier food, we're also talking about reducing costs in the farming process and improving the financial viability of farming. So that's my little push. I am an accountant, so of course I always like to talk about money. So the microBIOMETER, and the reason I'm here is my mother, who founded the company, developed the microBIOMETER. She was really, really passionate about not just data and biology. She was a biologist by trade, but in giving people the tools that they need to make their own decisions. So she wanted to create a kit that would enable people quickly, easily, and cheaply to assess in real time the real biology of the soil. So the test is designed, you go out, you get the soil right then and there, okay? Biology is living and breathing creatures, so you want to test them as soon as you can when it gets out of the soil. And you want to get the results right away so that you can use them to inform your decisions. So this test you do yourself, you pull the soil right out of the ground, run a little science experiment, and use a cell phone to return the results. Our kit returns microbial biomass and fungal to bacteria ratio. I know a lot of you are into microscopy, which is terrific. Microscopy is really the best way for you to learn about the biology of your soil, and microscopy can give you more information about maybe what types of microbes there are, but this is used as a measure of just total biomass. So lots of people who work and who believe in soil biology understand that you need a large and healthy and diverse microbial community in order to be able to improve your soil health, improve the natural uptake of nutrients, particularly micronutrients in your plants, and to make your soil more resilient, both in terms of erosion, drought mitigation, and also to improve soil structure so that you are doing all of those things, but also improving soil organic stores. So while you are making plants on above ground, of course, you are also growing microbes below ground. So the things that Matt really focuses on, and I was very excited to hear about the very soon rollout of the Our Soil database, and I'm very excited that we will have a place in that. So if you have a microBIOMETER and you're going to be using the database, you can put in some of that biological data to get you a better picture. So the things that testing focuses on are soil organic matter, mineral content, biofertilizers, biostimulates, and cover crops, right? And then growing practices. So how much are you disturbing your soil? Hopefully not a ton, but sometimes there is a time for it. And so soil is complex. Everyone out there has a different piece of land in a different place that has a different history. So I think we've all learned from industrial farming that a one size doesn't fit all. You can't just take a core of sample out of the ground, throw it to a lab, get back a chemical cocktail that you're supposed to throw down on the ground and grow plants that will sustain the planet and the earth. So I want to applaud everyone who's working towards doing that. And of course, the goals for regenerative farming are, and I had to write them down, of course, no poisons, no toxins in the soil, improved nutrient-dense food, and improved economics, which I talked about before. And you always want to be on a virtuous cycle of soil improvements. So as you work to improve your soil health, soil structure, soil resiliency, each year that gets better and better. But if you stop doing those practices and you start disturbing the soil such that it destroys particularly fungal content and microbial content, then you will be doing what we obviously call a vicious cycle of decreasing the amount of resiliency in your soil and having to increase the amount of chemical herbicides, fertilizers, and pesticides you put on the soil. Those things, when you put them on the soil in excessive amounts, also harm soil biology. So you always want to think about what phase of it are you on. I think most people, unless they've been doing regenerative for a long time, are in the camp of trying to rehabilitate their soil. And so what to do and how to jumpstart that process and maintain that process is one of the things that I think the database will help. Growers, we love soil biology. We think it's incredibly important. I'm sure all of you do, but it's one piece of the puzzle. So there's also soil chemistry, soil type, weather patterns, historical treatment of the soil, also just the natural variations between soils. If you're on a hill, right, water is going to be doing different things than if you have totally flat soil. So when we think about putting all the pieces together, I think it's really, really interesting that all of you out there, as you be doing this, will be essentially your own scientists saying, I'm trying these practices, I'm doing these things. What is happening underground with my soil biology, right? We all know that the biggest indicator of incredibly healthy soil and good farming practices is an amazing crop. Not just yield. Yield is, of course, important. It's been for corporate farming, which is all about yield, but people in regenerative understand that yield is one piece, right? Practice is another piece, economics is a piece, but really we're growing food to sustain our bodies and souls. So you do want to focus on, am I making sure that this plant isn't just growing because I fed it, essentially chemical food? Is my soil have enough biology in it, fungal content, bacteria, such that the antioxidants that the microbes produce to help the plant's immunity get into the leaf, and then I can eat the antioxidants and they can help me maintain my body and mind, fight cancer, help my immune system and all of that. The more you learn about the role that microbes play in our own body, right? We all know our gut is full of microbes that are, for the most part, beneficial, but that we couldn't live without, right? The brain-gut connection is incredible. Plants are the same thing. Plants rely on microbes, both to mine nutrients, as we do, and also for immunity. So I think when you think about holistically what's going on, we're not that much different than plants, right? And the funny thing is, if you eat really nutrient-dense food that's made in microbial-rich soil, it will help your microbiome, which I think is just sort of the coolest thing that sort of come out of this thing that the soil microbes become the human microbes, which is very fun. So I'm here just sort of talking about what what you can do as you gather all this information. And hopefully the database will be one of those things that will really help you say, okay, I'm correlating things. I put down this biostimulate. I use my microscope. Perhaps I use the microbiometer. Perhaps I was using other tests to say what happened, not just in the short term, but in the long term to my soil. And that means you have to really be a data scientist in addition to a food scientist and a soil scientist. And some of you, of course, are working in husbandry also. And so we're working on maintaining the animals that are on your land. And what you do want to do when you start getting this data is figuring out, as I do different things, maybe use a different product or a different practice, what is happening with the metrics that I have. And soil biology is one of the key metrics that we think has been missing from a lot of agriculture. But with the work that like the Food Soil Web does and Matt Powers does, and hopefully we are also somehow contributing to it, that we're putting that piece of biology into the science. So I encourage all of you to, probably right now you have to use Excel or ChatGPT to put in all of this information. But there are a lot of innovative people in regenerative working to make what we like to think as recommendation engines, to take all the data that's available, both from you on the farm and also information that's readily available from public databases and weather, to say what's happening with your soil, how best can you tend to both the soil, the plants, and the animals on your land. And it is really a sort of a holy endeavor. So I don't really have much else to say except thank you, Matt, for including me in this. It's been really fun. I know that there's a discount code if people would like to try the microBIOMETER. We get a lot of our feedback from our users, so if you use it and you'd like us to either highlight you in our newsletter or you just have some feedback about what worked or didn't work, we as a young company with only a couple people in it rely on our users to really do a lot of research in the field. So we appreciate when people take the time to send us a little message or call us and say what they thought. So thank you very much for including me. Our website is microbiometer.com, and enjoy the rest of the event.